Today our guest is Rita San Martin. She is second-generation Ukrainian. Her grandfather immigrated to Canada during 1895 from Bukovina.
That's
Today we are going to talk about preserving of the cultural heritage of Ukrainians in Canada and why it is important. My first question is how do Canadians celebrate Easter? What traditions are associated with this holiday in your family?
well, in my family, we don't go to the Ukrainian church. We go to a United Church. So it's a little bit different. They celebrate Easter in a traditional religious way where they talk about the crucifixion, that type of thing. So I didn't grow up in the tradition of Ukrainian, but I have been to St. Vladimir's Ukrainian Cultural Center in the church, and by seeing the culture through visiting my Baba at Easter, and I have been introduced it that way. So, and that's how I see it from my eyes. I've never really participated in Ukrainian church at Easter in Calgary.
For me, at least, do you cook traditional Ukrainian dishes in your family? And if yes, which ones?
Oh, yes. I do cook. I make perehe, pierogies, but traditionally it's called perehe. Holubshi, borscht, nachinka, poppy seed roll. I do canning, traditional fruits and dill pickles. What else? A lot of Ukrainian foods.
So you like Ukrainian foods, yeah?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, and I make the paska and the babka.
Okay. What traditional Ukrainian customs can you describe? Are there any similarities with Canadian traditions?
Well, definitely celebrating, Christ, the birth.
Yeah.
As far as bringing blessings to we don't do that in our traditional church, which is far different from the Ukrainian church. And that's pretty much it. This year, Easter is at the same time, which normally it isn't.
How would you describe Ukrainian culture heritage in Canada? What Ukrainian traditions are observed in Canada and how do they manifest themselves in everyday life?
Well, the Ukrainian traditions that I know, it's what I grew up with from my family, from visiting my Baba, my cousins. The only thing that we do now is the baking at Ukrainian Christmas, of course at Easter, and the eggs. But I do carry on the tradition of weaving, teaching the Ukrainian Easter eggs.
Yeah.
And I try and my daughter, I've taught her that, and she does it. She did Ukrainian dancing, so we're trying to keep it alive that way. And unfortunately speaking, we don't do that. It's in my family, in my particular family, we've lost the Ukrainian, which is sad, but my dad has a little bit of Ukrainian, but he's 94, and he knows a little bit of Ukrainian still. So
it's really nice.
Yeah. So and just to, every opportunity I have, I do share my heritage with them. I'm very proud of it, and I like to share.
In your opinion, what role does the large Ukrainian diaspora in Canada play in preserving Ukrainian culture and traditions?
The Ukrainian immigration that came to Alberta, which is basically Edmonton, Vegreville, Willingdon, that area, those traditions and the people that came, they saw a better future. and it helped build Alberta. The farming community, the close-knit community, and as people traveled, they took that culture and to the cities, and they're still holding on to those traditions, and I think they're really trying to preserve it, and I think it's very important that everybody holds on to it. It's going to change a little bit. Well, it has over time. I know with the new Ukrainians coming here,
a lot.
Our culture, well, what we know is totally different from what they're coming. So it's an eye-opener for us as well, because we're living in the past from what we know from our grandparents.
Yes.
Exactly. So, and I think with the new Ukrainians coming, I think it's a fantastic opportunity to help, I think, us in our culture and to bring some revitalization.
Yes, and save our tradition then.
Exactly, yes. And even to teach some of our old customs, which some of the new Ukrainians have maybe forgot about or have not been taught, to hopefully give that to them as well.
It's really interesting collaboration, new and old.
Exactly, yes, yeah.
My next question, what did motivate you to begin painting eggs? Do you have any mentors who guide you in this?
Well, when I had visited my Baba at Easter and I saw the eggs and they were beautiful, and she'd gone to church, I went to church with her, and they had the eggs, the basket blessed, and I wanted to learn that, but my Baba said you had to be very old to learn it, and I thought, I don't think that's right. So at the time there was a Ukrainian bookstore in Edmonton. I went there, I purchased a book and the supplies, and I taught myself, and it's just developed over the years, and there's so much talent out there teaching, and the designs, it's incredible. So,
What traditional Ukrainian patterns and motifs do you use in your work? How do they relate to Ukrainian culture and history?
The traditional patterns that I make?
Patterns, what we saw before in your book, So it's traditional motifs and patterns.
The eggs that I like to do is have mostly red on them, because to me that's love and joy. And that's how I like to look at life. And, it's mostly stars. It depends on what time of the year. I do Christmas ones, snowflake patterns, which are a little outside of tradition, but I do some of the geometric designs. I really like that, but the Tropilian ones, because that predates everything. And when you think of when eggs first started, or humankind, we were very basic, and a line or a dot, that was it. And the colors were very basic. They used the materials that they had, and so over time things have progressed, right? So
how popular is Ukrainian culture or heritage in Canada, for example, in clothing or folklore?
Definitely the folklore, for it's very, you'll find it in different provinces where the Ukrainian population is, but I think everybody knows about Ukraine, because everybody's seen the Ukrainian dancing, the clothing, the eggs, the food. Everybody enjoys it, so it's well known, in my mind, all across Canada.
What role preservation of Ukrainian culture heritage does play in Canada? Why is it important to you?
It is very important because we're losing it. Like, it's so important to keep our heritage, to not lose it. That's what's happened generations before, that people disappeared, their culture. And I think it's important that we do not hang on, but we keep those traditions alive, so we don't forget. Because there's so many things that have been lost with coming to Canada. Lots of different people. I mean, they try to be part of Canada and not carry on those traditions. But I think that by doing what we do, by the food, the language, the culture, and it's very important. Yeah.
I agree with you. They continue to pass of the traditional of egg coloring to the next generation. Do you teach your children this kind of art?
Yes, most definitely. I enjoy teaching it, to share it with new people, even old people. It's ageless. You can be 3 years old and 100 years old, and you can still learn it.
So your children not old for this. What you say to your Baba?
My daughter, I'm not going to say how old she is, but yes, she's learned the tradition for myself. I have some of her eggs that she did when she was 3 years old. I still have them, and she's sharing that tradition with her friends as well. So it's very important.
Yeah, it's very important. Yeah. So can we go and see how to make писанка?
By all means, you bet. It's my pleasure. Follow me.
So? Okay.
All right. Nice egg, Mary. We're just going to clean it in it's vinegar and water. You've got, wow, a beginner, and those lines are excellent. Now we're going to put it in the yellow dye.